Hyper Beats. Hyper Beats. Hyper Beats. Hyper Beats.
All right, and what is going on, everyone? My name is Will, and there's the boys here from across the plane, and we are here to bring you our last minute. We got 33 minutes to kick off last minute updated rankings here to answer all last minute lineup questions. It's a really important week. We are getting down to the stretch run of the fantasy playoffs, so it is time to make the right decisions. Below me is. Yeah, absolutely. Kicking off with quarterback rankings. Obviously, we had some big heavy hitters on the Thursday night game. Russell Wilson and Kyler Murray both played decent. Um, Good, not great. Oh, Philip Lindsay is not a quarterback. Uh, yeah, sorry guys. Keep going. I'll get it. Yeah, absolutely. Deshaun Watson versus New England. I believe that's the or no, that's not the Monday night game. Monday night we have Tampa Bay and Rams. Deshaun Watson should expect to see some points. Obviously, New England has a good secondary. Stephon Gilmore is active this week, but again, it's Deshaun Watson. Expect a big game. Yeah, I mean, those are all fantastic matchups for all three of those guys. Again, Alex Smith played a great game last week. It just all the touchdowns went to the running backs, and I don't expect to see another 400-yard game with 0 touchdowns again. Not to say we'll see 400 yards, but I think multi-touchdown this game. I think he's getting more comfortable. It's a really favorable offense against Cincinnati, and he could definitely get you a nice game, get you over 20 points this week. Yeah, Alex Smith was our number one streamer of the week. Let's see. Not much, a whole lot to talk about. We talked about Derek Carr he's really volatile quarterback. You always think he's gonna have a good game and then he doesn't, but he could definitely outperform his rankings. Last time the Raiders played Kansas City, they put up 40, and that was his highest scoring game of the season. Josh Jacobs also had a great game, so I really do agree with you. I expect to see a lot of points. Raiders are a football team that is better than a lot of people realize. I mean, maybe they're finally realizing, but Raiders are a good football team. They run the offense through Josh Jacobs, and that really opens things up for the rest of the passing game. We'll flip over to the running backs here, and if anyone of you guys have questions, we'll flip back to the rankings. But I want to get in these top 30 running back rankings, and obviously, Kenyon Drake and Carlos Hyde and Chase Edmonds all played Thursday night games. They actually all had decent games. They all put up double digits, half point PPR points. They all had touchdowns. So if you started any one of those guys, you are definitely not disappointed. Yeah, obviously number 1 and 2, we've talked about this a lot, is probably not going to change for the rest of the year. I don't see Dalvin Cook and Alvin Kamara not being the number 1 and number 2 running backs at any point as long as they're playing. Yeah, I agree with you. I think Mike Davis owners, I am personally one of those, he was really, really awesome when McCaffrey went out right away, and then he kind of tapered off. He hasn't been getting the same usage in the passing game, but Detroit does give up the most points also to the out of the backfield to running backs. So I think Teddy Bridgewater looks like he is going to start this week. Could be limited. They did activate all three of the other quarterbacks on their roster just in case. So I do expect to see a run heavy offense and a lot of Mike Davis this week. He's coming in at number 6. Next up, Aaron Jones at number 7. Coming back from injury, he's gotten decent volume, but hasn't been the same Aaron Jones that we would have hoped. He hasn't had those big fantasy games, and it's another tough defense at the Colts. Yeah, I mean, he definitely, obviously, we've seen Aaron Jones in the past, boom or bust potential, but yeah, he just hasn't. Really, the past 2 games, yeah, but I do think there has been something the past 2 games. He has not, and I think obviously he's easing back from injury, but I mean, prior to injury, he hadn't had a game. He had the Tampa Bay game where he got completely shut out. But other than that, he had averaged over 4 yards a carry every single game, and he has yet to hit that marker since coming back from injury. So I think he will get back. But yeah, I agree with you there. The way they run Green Bay, they really like to throw the ball a lot in the red zone, and those touchdowns a lot of times don't go to the running backs. Yeah, absolutely. Miles Sanders, Amari Cooper, or Robert Woods. I'm gonna go. Robert Woods is a safer play. Um, yeah, it's. I mean, yeah, it's a safer play. I think. Um, let's see. We got Miles Sanders at number 8. Owners were a little disappointed last week with Boston Scott and the Corey Clement touchdown. But again, that's the Eagles offense. We've warned about this, but again, it's Miles Sanders. The talent is there. He gets high volume. You just would like to see more usage in the red zone. But with that being said, they did just pick up Jordan Howard. Yeah, exactly. He's definitely been a welcome addition back to your lineup. Got you 12 and a half point PPR points, 15 carries last week, had 5 targets, only got 2 catches, so converts more targets. So Miles Sanders is going to be a fine and a lock for a top 12 play every single week. Kareem Hunt at Philly. We saw what happened with Nick Chubb last week, and it was phenomenal. Like we thought and like we had hoped. They're both getting high volume. They're both trying to get them 20 touches a game, and they're both going to feast on opposing defenses. Absolutely. James Robinson coming in at number 10. Tough defense against Pittsburgh, but James Robinson has just been getting an incredible amount of volume lately. He's been getting a high target share, and been seeing over 20 carries a game the last 3 weeks in a row now. And I expect to see another high volume workload for James Robinson. Are you going Chris Godwin, Tyler Boyd, or Kalen Balaj in a full point PPR? I think I agree with you. I think he's going to be the safest bet, and he does see a decent workload of the passing game. Yeah. Yeah. Kalen Balaj. Yeah. I agree with you. And again, if you've got him, he's been really good. He was really good for you last week. You were really happy with what he got you. If you got him, exactly. Last week, where you might get to start him, Austin Eckler could potentially be coming back last week. He saw 3 targets and 6 targets last week. Last week, he had 18 carries and 5 catches. That's huge. He didn't get a touchdown, but seriously, 5 catches and 18 carries is massive. They're playing the Jets. I mean, he could definitely outperform his ranking at 15 and be a top 10 play this week if he sees that volume and finds his way in the end zone, you know? Um, so yeah, if you've got Kalen Balaj, just do it one last week, throw him out there, and then when Austin Eckler comes back, he's probably droppable. Let's see. Let's find a question on Twitter here. James Conner, Robert Woods, or Jamison Crowder at flex? Or here's a good one. Kalen Balaj or Deontay Johnson at flex? Maybe Balaj in standard, Deontay Johnson in PPR? Yeah. Yeah, I agree. That's a really tough one, and I actually we like both of them this week. They're both ranked inside the side of the top 15 at their own positions respectively. I do want to talk about. I would like to cover quick. We got 11 and 13 coming in are the Washington running backs, and it looks like this is along with the Cleveland offense, another offense that can just really support 2 fantasy relevant running backs. I mean, Grant J.D. McKissic's value is going to go a lot down in standard scoring, but any PPR format, I mean, he's getting double-digit targets every single week. Only 15 targets. Salvin Ahmed. I like Salvin Ahmed. I honestly, I will say this Dallas Minnesota game is really hard to predict what's going to happen. Because we look at what's been going. Dallas played a great football game last week against Pittsburgh. Are we going to see that same football team last week? But then again, Minnesota's also been playing great football, and our defense has been much improved over the last couple weeks. So I don't really know fully what to expect. I'm not sure. This could totally be a big Dalvin Cook game where he just totally is just like all of the offense. But if it's not, I do think Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen and Kirk Cousins are going to be in for a nice game. I agree with you. It's always a safer play. Not that the receivers don't always have that upside. Um, yeah, I agree with you. I'm going with Ahmed for one of the spots, right? Who were the other ones? Oh, see, you and I are going to disagree on that one. I like Antonio Brown. Yeah, full point. Yeah, for sure. I think. Yeah, it's the Tampa Bay offense is hard to figure out, but Antonio Brown has been. I believe he's led the team in targets both weeks now, or tied Chris Godwin last week, and then led the team in targets last week. Um, I think like Mike Evans is going to retain value, but if you watch these Bucks games, they like it's really about the red zone for him. He gets a massive amount of red zone targets. They are always targeting him in the red zone. Um, and I think this is one of those offenses like the Pittsburgh offense where it can sustain 3 fantasy relevant wide receivers. I honestly I don't know how high the upside is going to be for any of these guys, unless they get them exactly. That's what I'm saying. Let's see here. Yeah, let's flip over to the wide receiver rankings. Somebody said Mike Davis or James Conner. I'm going Mike Davis, and honestly, if James Conner doesn't put up this week, I am really concerned about it. I'm not really concerned, but I'm not going to be as high on him. He just hasn't looked like the same runner, to be honest. Jacksonville. Yeah. All right. So really quick, I want to say, I was looking up red zone targets. Mike Evans is tied for Devonte Adams for most red zone targets in the league. So I think the way they're going to use him is like Mike Evans is probably a safer standard play or is a better standard play, but then you get in the territory of Chris Godwin's a much better, and Antonio Brown are probably a safer PPR plays. Yeah, he's played 3 less games. It's Adams has been an absolute monster this year. What can you say about that? Of all the guys, yeah. The only other guy in the league who has double-digit red zone targets, who has played 7 games like Devonte Adams has, is a little surprising. No, it's Emmanuel Sanders. He has 10 red zone targets on the year in 7 games. But that's only converted to 3 touchdowns, and Devonte Adams 14 red zone targets has converted to 9. So, Uh, I think they're going to use Jameis Winston. Now, all right, ESPN leagues, Taysom Hill, flex tight end. I love it. I put him in as a tight end and sat TJ Hawkinson. I agree with you, but you know what? If he's listed as a tight end and Gio Bernard or Duke Johnson, let's check our rankings here. Uh, I like Gio Bernard just a tiny bit better now. But again, they're ranked right next to each other. But I personally am gonna lean Gio just a little bit. Obviously, they're both starting. The starting running back on each of those teams is now on IR. Big bummer. Yeah, obviously the big bummer was Joe Mixon going on IR. He's missed a lot of games. He'll now have missed like 7 or 8 games in a row. So if you're a Joe Mixon owner, I hope you were able to grab a Gio Bernard. Yeah, we talked about Salvon Ahmed. I wanted to touch on Damian Harris. I think maybe not so much PPR, but in standard scoring, I'm really high on Damian Harris this week. Great matchup versus Houston. They're the third worst team against the fantasy running backs. It looks like they're committed to him being the bell cow running back. Again, it's the Patriots. I'm saying this with such caution, but I think he's a good bet for double digit, like 15 carries or more this week at Houston. And like we've seen every time he's gotten over 15 carries or more, he gets over 100 yards and had 120 yards on the ground last week. Just didn't find his way in the end zone, but I think he could. I think Houston's just a terrible defense, so I think Patriots. It could be a good week for Jacoby Myers and Damian Harris and Cam Newton. I mean, it's tough because they're ranked right next to each other. I personally think I still think I like Gio a little bit better. I think Gio has higher touchdown upside. We'll talk about Adrian Peterson. It's getting the start over there in Detroit. They all said Kerryon Johnson may get some carries. I'll have him ranked. I think he'll probably see like 15 carries. May not be the most efficient, but it's Detroit running backs, Obviously, DeAndre Swift, that was a bummer. He was ranked inside the top 10 for us. Pick 2, Cook, Henry, Kamara. Come on, man. You trolling us. You a troll. Come on, troll. Flex him. You funny. I like it. Let's see. We got Nyheim Hines up at 17. Colts running backs hard to figure out. Really, really hard to figure out. I think the only one I like starting would be Nyheim Hines this week. Other than that, I'm gonna try to stay away from Jonathan Taylor and Jordan Wilkins. Neither of them have that high of passing upside, and both of them are probably going to see anywhere from it looks like 6 to 12 carries. One of them might get a touchdown. It is a great matchup. I think you still hang on to Jonathan Taylor and hope that he does better because the Colts has some great matchups going forward. Their coach did mention yesterday, he's like, we're going to go with the hot hand at running back, which makes me think that Nyheim Hines is going to be in for another big workload. So we'll see. Yeah. Let's see. Ronald Jones, Leonard Fournette. We got them ranked back to back. You're a little higher on Fournette. I'm a little higher on Ronald Jones. It's tough to see because it's tough to tell what's going to happen. Yeah, I think I'd lean receiver if you got to play one of them. Hopefully they're not your RB2, and neither of them are your RB2s. I mean, if you started Ronald Jones last week, obviously you were incredibly happy. He had a really huge game. Uh, yeah, 23 carries last week. Had the big 98-yard touchdown run. But yeah, he saw 23 carries last week, which is big. And just looking at the games, where he didn't, where like we were saying Leonard Fournette is starting to take over, because the last couple of weeks Leonard Fournette had been seeing more touches. Week 8, when he got 7 carries, he had a really bad fumble early on that he lost, and after that we saw the snaps go Fournette's way. And then week 9 against New Orleans, that was the game that they lost 3-38 and were down like by 2 scores in the first quarter. So I do think game script had a little bit to do with that, and it's not going to be like Ronald Jones is only touching the ball like 8 to 10 times a game. I don't know if we're going to see 23 carries every game, but I do think he's going to be a safer bet I think, for more touches than Fournette. But we've seen that Fournette is getting more catches out of the backfield. But yeah, like you said, not a situation that we like. I'm gonna go back to the wide receiver rankings. Yeah. Yeah, last week we saw Malcolm Brown and Darrell Henderson get the touchdown. I believe Malcolm Brown had 2 touchdowns. Darrell Henderson had 1 touchdown. And then they each got less carries, though, than Cam Akers. Cam Akers led the backfield in touches. So it's really we're not sure what to expect of it. I like to stay away from it. We told you a couple weeks ago to sell Darrell Henderson in one of our preview videos. Let's see. Let's talk about I expect a better game from the pass catchers of the Rams. We got Robert Woods at 17, Cooper Kupp at 12. I think it could be a good game. Last week was kind of weird, just like we said. 3 of the touchdowns went to running backs. And I do think it will get better. Again, Jared Goff is very inconsistent, but he is better when their running game is going and their running backs are all healthy. And I think they could have a decent game. Set those lineups, folks. Let's see. Jacoby Myers. That is my guy that you need to find a way to get into your lineup at pretty much any cost. I think he's going to have a really nice game this week. He has been Cam Newton's favorite target, and Houston is just a terrible defense. And we've seen Jacoby Myers feast on poor defenses. Yeah, and again, it's just a great matchup. Jamison Crowder looks like he's back. They said he's healthy. He's been a great play when he has been healthy. We got him up at 28. Good, really safe PPR floor there. You can't go wrong with him in PPR formats when he's healthy and stays on the field. Michael Thomas at 20, and with Drew Brees on IR, he might stay around there, drop a little bit rest of the season. Yeah, and again, they announced Taysom Hill as the starting quarterback. I I still think we see Jameis Winston this game, and I say that Jameis Winston is going to be better for Michael Thomas's fantasy production. We do have multiple weeks though. What are you saying? Yeah. And they'll use Taysom Hill probably more so than they would with Drew Brees, but they use Taysom Hill a good amount even with Drew Brees. Um, no, I don't either, but you never know. T Higgins up at 19, and you know T Higgins has we talked about him all the way back. He was on our very first. He was actually on our very first ever fantasy episode of our waiver preview. um, T. Higgins was our wide receiver, and that was all the way back week 5, I believe, week 4 or week 5, and he's turned into a every week starter pretty much. That Bengals is a pass heavy offense. Joe Burrow likes throwing his way. Him and Tyler Boyd are great starts every week. Yeah, exactly. And for being I mean that is just such a good waiver wire pickup. Because I don't think surely he wasn't drafted really in any leagues there. Exactly. I mean, he's really the guy. He's what we thought AJ Brown was going to be this year. Yeah, but he's still the third guy. Yeah. Or no, sorry, not AJ Brown. AJ Green. Sorry, I was AJ Green. Sorry. T Higgins is kind of the guy that we thought AJ Green was supposed to be, putting up those numbers. AJ Brown, we mentioned him. He's up at number 11. I just think I just expect a bounce back game from him. He had a couple bad drops. He dropped a really obvious touchdown last week against the Colts where he was just streaking down the sideline. Um, he's just so talented. I don't see one catch for 21 yards. Let's see. Really quick, flip up to the tight end ranks. For those of you who didn't see, it is kickoff time. Yeah, I hope these rankings were able to help you guys a little bit. As always, hit us on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter if you ever have any questions. Twitter and YouTube are the best places though. We will have our Week 12 fantasy preview up next week for you on Tuesday. We'll have rankings on Thursday, and then we'll be doing another updated show because it's, as we always say, with these injuries, with COVID, with everything, it's tough to have accurate rankings. Literally, I mean, until like an hour out till game time. Yeah, they change day to day, so make sure you hit us on all the socials. But yeah, give us a follow, subscribe, hit the bell so you do get notified when we do put a video up and when we do go live. As always, my name is Will. Check me out on Instagram at MPLS_outdoors. And I hope you guys get a win this week.